So in the previous class we were talking about right angle triangle trigonometry, where I had introduced you all to the idea of the 30-60-90 triangle and also the idea of the Pythagoras theorem. We also saw some Pythagorean triplet at that time. Okay, and then we had solved few examples which were based on the right angle triangle trigonometry. Today's class is going to focus on how to find out the angle in a right angle triangle, an unknown angle in the right angle triangle. And what we will be using for this is called as the sine, cosine and the tangent ratio. So we will see that happening in this class. So this is what we have seen earlier. So just a quick review of what we have done earlier. So trig functions are the relationships amongst various sides in right triangles. You know by the Pythagorean theorem that the sum of the squares of each of the smaller sides equals the square of the hypotenuse. So we saw that a square plus b square is equal to c square. A little more in like say the same formula once again. Okay, little highlighted bigger font. Okay, trig functions are how the relationship among the lengths of the sides of a right angle triangle vary as the other angles are changed. Now, how does this relate to trigonometry? If you take a right angle triangle, in a right angle triangle, the opposite side to the angle that you are taking into consideration divided by the hypotenuse is called the sine of the angle. Okay, this is sine of the angle A. So let us say quickly I will draw a right angle triangle here. Okay, a quick right angle triangle. Okay, and what you have here is the angle A. Okay, this is a little too thick. I'll try to use a pencil more thinner than this. Okay. So let us say for example, okay, this is much better. So this is that right angle triangle. You have a right angle triangle here. Okay. And then I'll go back to the pencil tool. So let us say for example, this is the angle I'm taking into consideration. Okay. And let's call this as A. Okay. So the side that is going to be opposite to this angle, okay, this is called as the opposite side. Okay, provided A is the angle, then this is called as the adjacent side. Okay, and this is the hypotenuse, which we have seen in the previous class. We have discussed this at length, where we had discussed that the side which is opposite to the right angle is always the hypotenuse. Similarly, if we are going to take the cosine of the angle A, it is going to be the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And if you are going to take the tangent of the angle A, it is going to be the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. Okay, so this is what is called as the trigonometric ratios. So to remember it quickly, you can always remember this. Okay, you can read this as so, ka and toa. So S stands for sine. So sine is always opposite upon hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent upon hypotenuse, and tan is opposite upon adjacent. Right. So it goes like this. So ka toa. So sine is opposite upon hypotenuse. Cos is adjacent upon hypotenuse. Tan is opposite upon hypotenuse. Right. So always remember this. So ka toa, and it is going to be very easy for you to find the missing side if the angle is given, or find the angle if the sides are given. Okay, let us look at this example, a quick example here. Okay, what is the measurement of this angle A? Okay, can someone quickly calculate and give the answer? What is the answer? So I know that A is 3 and C is 6. Okay, this is the angle A which is unknown, and the appropriate, yeah, we have to find out the angle. So the appropriate trigonometric ratio that we will be applying is sine A is equal to opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Is everyone getting that? So I have used the sine ratio. This is how I will use the sine ratio. Sine of A is opposite upon hypotenuse, and that is what Rahul got as the answer. So the answer which Rahul got was half, but half is not the answer. My objective is to find out the angle A, and angle A is going to be equal to sine inverse of half. Okay, so you need to use the calculator in this case, a calculator that can help you find out sine inverse of half. Okay, and what is sine inverse of half? Can somebody give me this answer? Rahul? Rahul or Shri Kirti or Sachitanand? Can anyone give this answer? Can I have the answer quickly? What is the final answer? What is the value of the angle A? Sine inverse of half. What is the value of the angle A? Okay, you need to do sine inverse of half. You need to do sine inverse of half. Okay, I think students have a difficulty there. I will try to explain that. Yeah, 30 is correct. Rahul is right. 30 is the answer. But I'll try to help the students out by showing how this can be calculated on a scientific calculator. Are the students aware, or are the students already using a scientific calculator? Are the students using scientific calculator? Are the students using scientific calculator? Yes, if you are using scientific calculator, then I can explain this easily. So just give me a moment. Okay, just give me a moment. I will explain this to you all. Okay, fine. Let us proceed, and I will get back to you soon with the with how this has to be done on the calculator. Okay. So here is the answer. This is how the calculation goes. But obviously, I would have to tell you how the calculator is supposed to be used in order to get the 30 degrees. But let us proceed, and I will get back to you on this by the time you are solving another question. Okay. So here's the question on your screen. Okay, and find out the answer for this question. Find out the answer for this question. Okay, how many of you all have the answer? How many of you all were able to find the answer? No, I don't think students are getting the answers correct. Okay. Let us look at the question. It says that the flag post casts 100-foot shadow at noon. Lying on the ground at the end of the shadow, you measure an angle of 25 degrees to the top of the flag post. How high is the flag post? Okay, so I have to find out the height. So you have an angle which is 25 degrees and the length of the side next to the angle 100 feet. You are trying to find the length of the opposite side to the angle. So opposite upon adjacent is the tan relationship. So let x be the height of the flag post. Now using your calculator, you are going to get tan of 25 degrees, which is going to be 0.74, and the opposite is the flag post. A shadow that has been casted is 100 feet, so x will be equal to 47 feet high. So that is the height of the flag post. Is that clear to everybody? Are students able to understand that? Okay, you can go through the working. You can go through the working quickly and let me know if you have any doubt. Let me know if you have any doubts. Yeah, Rahul says it's okay, so good. So basically, if I try to draw the triangle, it is going to be something like this. This is going to be 100. Okay, let us assume this is the flag post. This is 25 degrees and this is X is what I have to find out. Okay, this is how the diagram will look like. So once you get the diagram, it is going to be very easy. Okay, is everybody getting it? Is everyone getting it? Okay, here is a diagram of the scientific calculator. I will try to enlarge this so that it is clearer. So I hope everybody is using this scientific calculator. Is everyone using this scientific calculator? Okay. Is everyone using this scientific calculator? Yeah. Yeah? Okay, good, good. Okay, so in order to find out the angle, okay, this is the procedure. What you simply have to do is you need to use this shift. Okay, what you need to use is the shift button here. Okay, and you need to use the sine or the cosine or the tan. Okay, that is the procedure. Okay, so if you do like if you take the previous example, so if you do shift, first you do shift. Okay, so press shift, then press sine. Okay, everybody can take your calculator. Okay, then you press sine and then you press half. Okay, what will appear on your calculator is going to be something like this. This is what will appear. Once you press shift, you will see sine inverse, then you put the half, and the answer to this question is going to be 30, which is the angle that we had to find out in the question which was previous to this question which I showed you. Is that clear to everyone? Is that clear, Rahul, Shri Kirti? If you have your calculator, you can quickly do this calculation and get acquainted with the idea of how you need to calculate the angle if the two sides are given to you. There are two main challenges. One is to identify whether it is going to be sine, cosine or tangent. And the second challenge that you will have is to use the calculator properly in order to get the angle. Okay, so if you all have the calculator, please use it and get the answers in the next question. So here's the question. This is a straightforward question. Try to draw the triangle and it is going to be very easy after that. Try to draw the triangle, mark the angle A. Angle A is 35 degrees, B is 50, and what you need to find out is C. So let's call this as some angle A. Okay, this would be the side A. Okay. Anyone who has the answer, is the answer 61 or is the answer 87 or is the answer 71? Okay, so we already have this answer. Sachita Anand has already answered the question. Okay, even I can give the other students in the class a small hint here. So let us say, for example, if this is angle A, This is angle B. This is angle C. Then I can call this side as side A. Call this side as side C. And okay, sorry. I can call this as B. Call this as C. And I can call this as A. And what I have is B, which is equal to 50. Okay. The C is what is unknown. I don't know C, and that's what I have to find out. And this angle A is 35. Right. So already one answer is there, but with this diagram, can I have answers from Rahul? Rahul and Sri Kirti, can you answer the question? Okay, the diagram is in front of you. So that is how you need to draw the diagram. If you draw the diagram, then it will be, then you can get the answer easily. Okay, Rahul, are you getting the problem? So the rule that you need to use in this case is the cosine rule. Let us look at the working. So you have an angle and an adjacent side. So I will be using cos of 35, which is adjacent upon hypotenuse. So cos of 35 is equal to 50. So C is going to be equal to 61. Okay, so Sachitanand's answer is correct. Okay, he has given the correct answer. The answer to the question is 61. The rule that the angle that you were supposed to use, the rule that you were supposed to use was the cosine rule, which was adjacent upon hypotenuse. Okay, and once you use that rule correctly, you will get the answer. Okay, look at another question. Okay, let's try to solve this question. Rahul and Sri Kirti, you also try solving the question. This is where you will have to use the sine inverse, because this is where the angle has been asked. It's a very simple question, quite straightforward. Okay, very clearly they have told you that the adjacent and the hypotenuse is given to you. You have the adjacent side and you have the hypotenuse. So because the adjacent and the hypotenuse is given to you, you need to use the cosine rule, cosine ratio. And the cosine ratio is adjacent upon hypotenuse. So what you would do is cos inverse of half. And if you have the calculator, okay, I understand that, Sri Kirti, like that is why these classes are there, so that they can help you. That's fine. I mean, you try to understand it. Okay, it's quite an interesting topic, very useful also. Okay, there cannot be a math course without this. Anything that you are doing, whether IGCSE or ICSE or whatever, you will always use this at some point. Okay, so better to know it earlier than later. Good, you try to follow it. Okay, I will try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so this is the answer. Cos of A is 50 upon 100, and then if you are expected to find out angle A, then that is 60 degrees, because cos inverse of half is 60 degrees. Okay, look at another question here. Seems students don't have a calculator, that's why it's taking a little longer, because these questions have to be done very fast. That's why the answers are coming in slowly. Okay, but you try, like, at least come up to certain working, so that, like something like this. Because what is the basic challenge in these questions is that you should be in a position to apply the appropriate rule. Okay, so from the given information. So in this case, the given information, say suppose tangent 80, so adjacent upon opposite upon adjacent, and therefore you will get the side B equal to 13. Okay. Let us look at this question also. The challenge here is to apply the appropriate rule. Okay, so if you see that this angle is 50 degrees, and this side B is 100. And the C is how much? So which rule will you apply? So it's very obvious, we will be applying the sine rule in this case. So we will say sine of 50, and sine rule says opposite upon hypotenuse. Okay, and once you have this, you can always find C by just simply cross multiplication, because the C will go there and the sine 50 will come in the denominator. Okay, you can see a detailed working in the next slide. Okay, this is how it is supposed to be. Sine of 50 is 100 upon C. Then you cross multiply. When you cross multiply, you will get C is equal to 100 upon sine 50, which is 130. So 130 is the answer, Sachitanand. Not 155. It's 130. 100 divided by sine 50. Okay, it's 130.5, but 130.5 is not the option. So 130 is the option. So 130 will be the correct answer. I'll just go back to the previous slide to see like how this has to be done. So the appropriate rule that you will be using in this case is sine of 50, and sine of 50 is opposite upon hypotenuse. So hypotenuse is going to be 100 upon sine 50, and 100 upon sine 50 is 130. You can check that on the calculator. The answer is 130. Okay, now look at these quadrants. Most students will be aware of the first, second, third, and the fourth quadrant. And if I'm going anti-clockwise, that means if I'm going like this in the anti-clockwise direction, okay, if I'm going in the anti-clockwise direction from the first quadrant to the second quadrant to the third to the fourth, then in the first quadrant, the angle is going to be between 0 and 90. That means the angle is going to be an acute angle. Okay. If you are in the second quadrant, then your angle is going to be between 90 and 180, and that's why it's going to be an obtuse angle. And if it is between 180 and 270, it is going to be a reflex angle. And then it is going to be between 270 and 360, because you're moving anti-clockwise. So if you complete one full circle, it is going to be between 270 and 360. Okay. Keeping this in mind, all the angles are divided in 4 quadrants. Angles between 0 and 90 degrees are in quadrant 1. Angles between 90 and 180 are in quadrant 2. Angles between 180 and 270 are in quadrant 3. And the angles between 270 and 360 are in quadrant 4. Okay, so this is what it means. Angles between 0 and 90 are in quadrant 1. 90 and 180 are in quadrant 2. 180 and 270 are in quadrant 3. 270 to 360 are in the fourth quadrant. Different trigonometric functions are positive and negative in different quadrants. The easy way to remember such which are positive and negative is to, in each quadrant, is to remember all students take classes. Okay, if you remember this, all students take classes. Okay, so what does this mean actually? In the first quadrant between 0 and 90 degrees, all trig functions are positive. Between 90 and 180 students, that is the sine function is positive. Between 180 and 270, the tangent functions are positive, and between 270 and 360, the cosine functions are positive. What this simply means is that if I'm going to take the sine, cosine and tangent of an acute angle, okay, you can try this quickly on your calculator. Try to find out sine of 30, cos of 30, tan of 30. The answer that you are going to get on your calculator is all going to be positive. Whether you find out sine of 30, cos of 30 or tan of 30. Okay, you can find out any of these and the angles and the answer that you are going to get is going to be a positive answer. But if you are finding out sine of 150, okay, find out sine of 150, cos of 150 and tan of 150, you will find that the sine is positive, the sine function is positive, but the cos and the tan are negative. Okay, the sine will be positive, but the cos and tan are going to be negative. Okay, you can check this out. Okay, you can check this out. Similarly, if you take any angle between 180 and 270, say for example, if you take the angle 200, so sine of 200, cos of 200 will be negative, but the tan of 200 will be positive. Similarly, if you take an angle like 285, which lies between 270 and 360, the cos of that angle, that means cos of 280 is going to be positive, sine and tan will be negative. Okay. And this is a quick table to remember sine of 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90 degrees. So sine of 0 is 0 because when you do root 0 upon 2, what I've simply done here is just to make you remember things easily. What you simply do is you take always denominator as 2 for all of them, and then you just do root of 0, root of 1, root of 2, root of 3, root of 4. So sine of 0 is going to be root of 0 upon 2, but root of 0 upon 2 is 0. So sine 0 is 0. Whereas sine of 30, which is root of 1 upon 2, root of 1 upon 2 will be half because root 1 is 1. Okay. Sine of 45 is going to be root 2 upon 2. So that remains as it is. Sine of 60 is going to be root 3 upon 2. So that will also remain as it is. And sine of 90 is going to be root of 4. And you know that root of 4 is 2. So this is going to be 2 upon 2. And 2 upon 2 is equal to 1. Similarly, if you are doing cos, then just reverse the order. Start from root 4. So root 4, root 3, root 2, root 1, 0. So sine of 0 is going to be 1. Cosine of 30 is going to be root 3 upon 2. Cosine of 45 is root 2 upon 2. Cosine of 60 is going to be half. And cosine of 90 is going to be 0. Okay. So this will simplify to 1. This will remain as it is. This will remain as it is. This will simplify to half. An interesting part here that you can note is that sine and cosine of 45 is the same value, root 2 upon 2. Similarly, if you are finding out for tangent, then what you do is just take the numerator of the sine and the numerator of the cos, and what you will get is tangent. So root 0 upon root 4 is 0. So tan of 0 is 0. Root 1 upon root 3 is root 1 upon 3. Okay, you can write this as full root 1 upon 3, or maybe 1 upon root 3 is also alright. So tan of 30 is 1 upon root 3, tan of 45 is 1, tan of 60 is root 3, tan of 90 is undefined. Okay, remember this, tan of 90 is undefined. So when you have root of 0 or 0 in the denominator, the function is undefined. So tan of 0 is going to be undefined. Okay, some of the fractions here I have simplified. This process that I have done here is called as the rationalization of the denominator. We normally don't keep root 2 in the denominator. Okay, so what I did is I rationalized it, multiply and divide it by root 2. So what I would get is root 2 upon 2, because 1 into root 2 is 2 and root 2 into root 2 is 2. So this particular class was aimed at finding out the angle in a right angle triangle. Remember, all the examples that we dealt with were right angles. Okay. What we can do is we can continue more on this in another class where the students would carry their calculators. So next class, I want the students to carry calculators to the class so that they can make quick calculations of sine inverse, because sine inverse, cos inverse, tan inverse will require calculators. Right, so we can have students bringing their calculators to class next time. Okay, and then we can solve a few more examples. Okay, today's examples were straightforward, but normally the examples are a little more trickier than what you see on the calculator. Okay, and another thing is, like, I wanted to inform that they are not doing very well in the examination. ASMA's 2 scores are going to be out soon. ASMA 1 scores were not that great. In ASMA examination, there are going to be, as you are aware, there are 7 questions, and students should get at least 5 of them right to have a decent score. And we are observing that students in Hyderabad are not getting good scores, they are getting very low scores. We would like to hear from the students what additional support they would require so that they can improve their scores. These are not at all good, and if you don't gear up by the 3rd competition, the overall average is going to get affected. You need to maintain a score of 5 on 7 at least. Anything lower than that is not a good score. Students, I have seen, like in Hyderabad, students are getting even zeros, and that kind of score is not acceptable. I don't want to compare students across states, but then in Mumbai, students are really performing well. They are really getting good scores. They are working hard. They are practicing. So I would advise the students to practice more and let us know. You can call up Pranati. She can share the number on the chat box right now. You can call her up, ask your parents to call, and inform Pranati what additional support can Transitions Lab provide so that the scores of the students can improve. Okay, we are working on these classes, and if you observe, like specifically these classes are happening for Hyderabad students. If you see, all the students are Hyderabad students. So we are making additional effort from our side, spending this 1.5 hours every weekend on Saturdays offering these classes, but we are not seeing too much improvement. So we would like suggestions from the students, suggestions from the parents, how this can be done so that the scores improve, because with this kind of low score, it is going to be difficult for you to get decent scores to be put on the common application. So let us know your feedback. Let us know your feedback about the classes. Pranati might share a questionnaire with you all regarding the classes. Please make it a point to fill in the questionnaire so that we get a feedback. Be genuine, okay? Be straightforward. Whatever it is, let us know so that we can improve and help you all so that you all can score better. Okay, Pranati has written to me that student service tomorrow. Please make it a point that you all fill in the service, okay, so that we can help you all in a better way so that the scores improve. You know, we want to see that the scores should improve. Okay, we are open to suggestions. Okay, how best we can help the students. We are making this extra effort. Okay, offering additional classes to the students so that the scores of the students improve. That's our main aim. Okay, so let us know how we can help you all out so that your scores can become better. Okay, so I'll sign off here. See you all next week, and sorry for the delay. There was a lot of traffic and I was traveling back. That's how the class got delayed. But I'll make it a point that next time this would not happen. Okay, I'll make appropriate provision, probably carry my laptop with me and with a dongle and things like that. So this would not happen next week. Okay, and thank you for your patience. And let us meet next week with some more questions on trigonometry and take it up from there and get back to us with the service. Okay, even see Pranati is requesting please fill the service. I think we have been doing this fill these classes for your benefit. Okay, so thank you very much and see you all next week. Bye.